Well, hello and welcome back to St. Thomas Aquinas for everyone. My name is Dave Palmer and we are going through the Summa Theologia. Can you believe it? If you are watching these videos every single day, I promise you by the end of this calendar year, maybe sooner than that, you are going to have studied the entire Summa and you will be a expert on Thomistic philosophy. So hang in there, don't give up, okay? Yesterday was kind of complicated. We're going through the attributes of God. There's 7 of them, and yesterday was that God is simple. And as I explained yesterday, the explanation of God's simplicity is very complicated, okay, which is a little bit of irony there. But today's attribute is much more simple, and like everything that we learn in the Summa, it's applicable to our everyday life. Okay, and this one especially, in fact, it's one of my favorite attributes of God, and I think you'll probably agree that this is a whole lot easier to get at than and to understand than simplicity. So God is, maybe you're guessing along at home what the next one is, maybe you have some knowledge of the Summa. God is perfect. All right, now you may say, oh, of course God's perfect, right? But do you realize how you can apply this to your everyday life? And I'm going to show you a lot of examples, and I challenge you to watch this video and say, okay, that doesn't change the way I see the world. That doesn't change my perspective. I think it definitely will. So here's the deal. Every day we experience things that we may consider to some degree perfect, right? Remember it was the fourth proof for the existence of God is these degrees of perfection, right? We just naturally do this. Like the perfect banana split. Have you ever had a perfect banana split? Everything was just lined up perfectly and it was delicious. What about maybe you're a daredevil and you have this perfect adrenaline rush and you're out there doing a tandem skydive and it's just the best day you can possibly imagine. You're out with your buddy and you're having fun and you're skydiving, okay? Or maybe that's not your bag and your perfect day is being on the hammock and chilling and reading a book like this lady is. Okay, you get the idea. There's a lot of different things that we consider to some degree perfect. All right, maybe you have the perfect boyfriend, the perfect girlfriend, the perfect husband, the perfect wife. All right, relationships certainly have degrees of perfection about them. How about, and this one I like a lot. I like this picture because it just brings me peace to think that I could be at the end of that pier looking out in that lake and seeing the sunset. I mean, that would just be so awesome, right? I know there's some animal lovers out there. What about the perfect little pooch? Okay, the perfect dog or cat or rabbit or guinea pig. All right, you may just think that your pet is great, and of course I'd be remiss if I didn't put a cute little baby on there because, as parents we think our kids are just perfect, and this baby is pretty cute, you got to admit. All right, so the point is these are everyday life experiences, things that we see and we say they have some degree of perfection about them, right? So what does this have to do with God, you might be asking, right? All right, now this, I admit, this is kind of deep, all right? This is kind of heavy. Remember what we learned yesterday about simplicity, and we're going to apply it now, all right? And also the proofs for the existence of God, it all ties together. Now, God is the first principle, all right? Not material, remember, no matter, no form, but in the order of efficient cause, which must be most perfect. For just as matter as such is merely potential, remember God has no potentiality, an agent as such is in the state of actuality. All right, no potentiality in God. Hence, the first active principle must needs be most actual and therefore most perfect, for a thing is perfect in proportion to its state of actuality, because we call that perfect which lacks nothing of the mode of its perfection. Now, I've been studying the Summa for like 10 years, and so when I read that, it's like, well, yeah, of course, I've read that so many times. I understand, maybe reading it for the first time, you're like, what does that mean? Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, if you just understand the principle that something in potentiality is something that's pure act, like God is the one that brings about all of the goodness in the world. Now, here's something that's cool. Okay, it talked about God as the efficient cause, and that should immediately bring up in your mind, oh, you remember those Aristotelian four causes? All right, God is the efficient cause of everything. All right, there's the foremost primal cause, the material cause, and the final cause. These are really important to understand the reasoning and meaning behind not only God, but different things in our life. Very, very interesting from a philosophical perspective, and we'll be getting back to that, okay? Now, this is where it applies to our life in such an amazing way. And when I read this, you're going to say, oh, that makes perfect sense. Okay, that last one, maybe not. Thomas says in part 1, question 4, article 2, whether the perfections of all things are in God. Okay, now let that sink in. He says all created perfections are in God. Hence, he is spoken of as universally perfect because he lacks not, says the commentator. Peter Lombard is who he refers to as the commentator, any excellence which may be found in any genus. First, because whatever perfection exists as in an effect must be found in the effective cause. Remember when we learned about can we demonstrate God's existence and the snow print and that kind of stuff? It's all coming back now. Since therefore God is the first effective cause of things, the perfections of all things must pre-exist in God in a more eminent way. All right, now here's where it gets very practical, and here's where you say, does the Summa apply to my life? How's the Summa going to make me a better person? Remember all these things? Every time you have a banana split now, every time you think about your perfect, boyfriend or girlfriend, or you're having that awesome day with your buddy, tandem skydiving, or you're on the hammock and you're just chilling and you're loving life, or you got this cute little baby or dog or whatever. Okay, you got to trace it back to God, because whatever perfection you find in these things first exists in God as the efficient cause. Remember, that's why the four causes are so important, because without that efficient cause, that table would not have been made, because that's where it originates. Okay, so all these great things that we love and experience not only come from God, but exist in God in a preeminent way. All right, is that not like the coolest thing that you've ever heard? That's why I like the Summa so much, and that's why it changes the way I see the world and the way I see people, the way I see everything in life. All right, so all good things must come to an end, and this video has come to an end, but I do thank you for watching. Comment below, like the video, share the video, and come back tomorrow as we move on to the attribute number 3 of God. I actually obviously don't know right off the top of my head which one it is, but we're going to have it tomorrow, and there's like 5 more that we're going to study before we move on to the next thing. But these are the attributes of God, because if we're going to live forever with God in heaven, we probably ought to know what he is like, right? I'm Dave Palmer, and this is St. Thomas Aquinas for everyone. Thank you for watching.